Alright viewers, so welcome back to the Alliance Cup. Today we have a very special match. It's the Indian bronze match between OP newbies and today on Korean server. So today we have Pishi, Slayer Hex, and Lebu on the shoutcasting team. So Pishi, you know these players pretty well. Take us through the teams and what they might pick and what they might ban.
Alright, so this is a very interesting matchup because OP newbies are basically like the newest team that has been formed. These are the members who are the ones who tried out for the recent Frost Academy team but could not make the cut, and they made their own team right now. So they are really relatively fresh off the bat. On the other hand, you have today on Korean server, which is basically made up of a couple of veterans, namely G Karma 9, or his name is INF Sam, and as well as I think Ripcord is not playing today, however. So they are basically a team that have been playing since like a couple of seasons, and they just ended up being in the part of the tournament as well. So it'll be pretty interesting to see how these matchups go. Coming on the side of OP newbies, so they have a very talented roster but relatively new. So in terms of picks and all, Bazigar is one of the champions who's jungler. He's known for his playmaking kind of a champions, and he's very well known to gank as often and as early as possible. So he's one of the players that you guys might need to watch out for. On the other side, you have to have a look at G Karma, and he is the mid laner for the old infamous team, which is one of the best Indian teams the last couple of seasons, and he will be playing mid for this team as well, and he's probably going to be the man to watch out for on the Korean server. So having a look at the bans, it seems that there have been standard top lane bans on Nectar and Ornn, as well, and he's probably going to I think they're just trying to look out because the Dead Corpse is known to play carry tops. He's played Irelia, he's played Gangplank. He doesn't really play a lot of tank tops, so that's why the Ornn ban. And as you can see, predictably, he has picked the Gangplank. So he's also a very good player, and he believes in carrying from the top lane in a meta where tanks dominate top. So it should be fun to see how that goes.
Alright, so one pick we've already seen so far in the tournament, both in the Bangladeshi and the Indian seed, is that Maokai is one of the top laners who's always been contested in a majority of the games, mainly because of his sustain and the fact that he can have so much teamfight control during those mid-game skirmishes. And the fact that Ornn and Renekton are banned and the Maokai wasn't banned, there we go, and Maokai picked up, obviously by fake faces, and then we do see a very sort of interesting matchup because it's Gangplank versus Maokai, and the rest of the tournament we've seen two tank top laners just tickling each other to death. Now, what do you think of about that matchup? How does Gangplank fare against Maokai?
What a coincidence it might be. A couple of hours ago, I just played the same matchup. Maokai does really well actually into a Gangplank. However, Gangplank can really farm up and not die if he plays really well. If the Gangplank is good, he can take Kleptomancy, and by the 20-minute mark, you're looking at like 1,000 gold just that he'll get from Kleptomancy. So the lane itself is not horrendous for the GP. If he plays it well enough, he should be able to get to his itemization, and then during team fights he can have his own sort of impact. So Maokai, if they are looking to shut down the GP, they definitely need help from the jungler to do so, because GP is not really going to get bullied heavily out by the Maokai, and basically gives him a lane where he can farm up to get his Triforce and get his crit items as soon as he can. So I like that. However, having said that, I definitely love the return picks from OP newbies. They've taken Sejuani and they've taken Ezreal right now I really like in the meta. He's pretty strong, and again with Kleptomance he can actually farm up pretty fast and get to his Manamune, and maybe if he goes Ice One Gauntlet, like he can get to his goal really fast. So pretty interesting to see that OP newbies might have opted for two champions who are probably going to run Kleptomancy, but it'll be fun to see what kind of counter to like a Korean team does on response to their picks.
Alright, so talking about junglers, Sejuani has been picked up, and in a meta where 80 junglers are pretty much dominating right now, we have Kayn, Kha'Zix, Rengar, and J4 as well in some games. Xin Zhao as well, one of the primary contested picks actually. Forrest actually wrecked a few games in this tournament in Xin Zhao. So Sejuani, what do you think about Sejuani in this current carry jungler meta?
If I'll be honest with you, like the meta itself is not predominantly carry jungles. It's just that Forrest is playing in a team and his laners are doing so damn well. So it allowed Kha'Zix, it allowed the Zinza, it allowed those Kanes to basically counter invade. There have been games where we did see a Nocturne getting crushed by a Zinza in the yesterday game. So Sejuani, in my opinion, does really well as long as she gets to her clear and gets to her levels. There's not a lot of junglers that can extremely bully her in late. So if this goes post 6, right, Sejuani's impact in the game will be significantly more than a Kha'Zix or a Kayn. So I like that pick coming out from Bazigar. It allows him to gank as well, and Deva is known to be a Katrina one trick. I do not think Korean server looked into their match history to ban that out. He is a beast on Katrina, and if he gets rolling this snowball, this game will probably end in 20 minutes. So I actually don't think Korean server really looked at the bans and the picks for OP newbies, and they've kind of let them get the champions they're really good at, namely Dead Cops on Gangplank and Deva on Katrina. Those champions are really good, and like those guys are really good on those champions. So it kind of basically are on their comfort picks right now, and even though the draft might look a little different because they don't have a lot of range, but they have champions that they do exceptionally good on. So I think it might be an advantageous draft coming out for OP newbies. Having said that, there is a Kha'Zix, so it'll be interesting to see how the early game jungle goes between both the teams.
Coming back to the picks from OP newbies, in terms of team fighting potential, they have a lot of good skirmish potential in the fact that you have GP's ultimate, Sejuani can go in and CC, plus Nautilus, and Ezreal's True Shot Barrage, not to mention Katarina can just swipe up and sweep the low HP people who are remaining in the fight, just picking out stragglers. In terms of today on Korean server, don't really see much of a focus in terms of what they want to do. We have some AoE, we have some burst damage as well. So what do you think about today on Korean server's team composition in comparison to OP newbies?
So the thing is, I think Korean server are missing one of the main players apart from Jigar Banan. That itself is going to be Ripcord. Ripcord was the AD carry for their team. He's not playing today, which kind of dents their power levels completely, in my opinion. Having said that, they do have an excellent composition that scales very, very well into the late game as well. So it's not as
we
if
have Tristana and Ryze.
it's not as if the draft is bad. It's just that when you're playing against a team that has very considered, like they have these one or two champions that are extremely good at, you need to ban them out. Because if you don't ban them out, then even if it might not be great from a draft perspective, because these guys are like these one tricks on these kind of champions, or they played so well, right? Like they will end up having an impact on the game. So I'm actually very excited to see how the laning phase goes, because you're gonna see Katarina, you're gonna see Bazigar mostly gonna gank mid for Mad Square Pants, and I think that will be one of the things where if the Katarina gets a few kills, they might end up snowballing. As far as for the bot lane, Ezreal is gonna poke a lot, and I think Blitzcrank is kind of rendered useless against a Nautilus and an Ezreal who can actually just E away from his hook. So laning phase, I might have to give it to the bot lane of Ezreal and Nautilus. Mid lane as well, I see it being more of a skill matchup, where if Katrina can get a good few plays, they can have an advantage. And it'll basically depends on not how these teams snowball, because if OP newbies do not get a good start right now, if they do not get the Katarina rolling, or if by some means that she's behind in lane and the GP also does not get his farm, then I can see a snowball happening from Korean server and they could win the game, because compositionally as a 5v5 team fight, they play quite well. They have a good front line and they have a very good damage sustain in Tristana as well as Ryze. So draft wise, both are good. Because I'm just worried, man. They gave them the comfort picks, so I am not really. I don't think Korean server like researched on them at all. Like if you ever see Deba play, if you ever seen Dead Corps play in the tournament, like Dead Corps has played Gangplank and he's carried on them, as well as Katrina has been known to be like Deba has been known to be like a very good Katrina player. So they probably should have banned that out instead of banning 3 supports, which I'm not sure what 4 supports are. I'm not sure what the reasoning behind there was. So it'll be interesting to see like how the level ones play out, and even from the Nautilus is also a very good level 1 engage. So I think level 1s, if no shenanigans happen, if it's a standard laning phase, then have a look at the mid lane, because I think that'll be one of the exciting lanes to watch, because GPA top lane is just simply going to farm against a Maokai. That'll be like a boring ass lane where nothing really happens. Bot lane you might see some poke happening, but Tristana is way too safe, so Sejuani gangs bot lane probably won't work. Sejuani might come mid a lot, and Kha'Zix might be looking to gank the mid lane as well. So I think the first 5 minutes, like the mid lane and the jungle will be like the lanes to watch, unless like by some miracle like Ezreal does like something insanely well and like pokes the Tristana out. But apart from that, like I think it'll be a good game to watch. So let's see how that goes.
All right, good stuff. So we will be in the game in a few seconds right now. So Slayer Hex, what do you think about the 2 team compositions, and who do you think is going to come out on top in this game?
So I agree with everything that Vishy said. Vishy put it on the floor really well. He put it down really well. But I'll just say one thing, that there's something that that needs to happen is with the Sejuani. If the Sejuani is not active enough, I don't think they translated it into late mid game or even late game. They don't translate it as enough. So what they need to do is they need to put when they hit their level 6, they need Sejuani needs to go up to the lanes. He needs to get successful ganks. He needs to get kills for his lanes, and then get them to snowball so that they can take the turrets and then they can rotate around the map. If they can't do that, you can see that a Ryze and a Tristana will scale pretty well. They'll scale pretty hard, and then leaving Kha'Zix alone means Kha'Zix coming up there and then just one-shotting someone. That's basically Kha'Zix Samo. So
yeah, it is.
So if you let Kha'Zix, Ryze, and Tristana have enough time to just get those items and just come to fights, and then you have a Maokai who's going to be relatively tanky. As Bishi pointed out, the top lane is going to be very boring. So they're just going to be farming against each other. They're not going to kill each other. They're just going to be like, I'll just farm up. Gangplank will just have those occasional Qs on Maokai, and that's about it.
Maybe a tickle here and there.
Maybe a tickle here and there, but nothing's going to happen because he's playing. He has his passive, and then he has Gas of the Undying. So he's basically going to heal up more than what he's going to be put on his body. So basically, it's like early game. If you know they can take the game. You know, if they can do something about it. If OP newbies can really come into the game and like just take the early game, get that snowball, take early turrets, rotate around objectives. They should have they should probably take this game. But if they can't, well, I wouldn't go up against a Tristana and Ryze them. I wouldn't really.
Yeah, so Team Korea today on Korean server we do agree on the fact that Team Korean server have a lot of late game potential if they're allowed to snowball out of control in the early game. So it kind of really does play in the favor of the team who has the momentum in the early game, who has those early advantages, get those first blood kills, and try to basically push down turrets and focus on the objectives to get those goal leads. And right now we do see a pause timing coming out, and we are back again in the game. So, we haven't really seen too many level 1 invades in this tournament so far. Hoping that will change in this particular game. Who knows? Because we do have a Nautilus, we do have a Blitzcrank as well. So both teams have really good invade potential. Might just have a bit more focus on Team Korean server because they do have the Maokai for instant lockdown plus the Blitzcrank. But we'll see how it goes. Pings are going down. They might go for an invade on on Team Korean server's blue side, but let's see what happens.
Surprisingly, the lines of vision are not.
Yeah.
Right, for some reason, the lines of vision are not that strong. So both the laners, I think OP newbies are just waiting for a counter invade in case like Blitzcrank comes in, they can catch him out. But I don't think they'll be doing a late invade so far. So they're just looking to make sure that they don't get cheese level 1, and it seems like it's going to be standard lanes, no shenanigans from either team. Even though I think you had a Blitzcrank, you could have maybe tried to, make a cheese because Blitzcrank is amazing at level 1,
Yeah, of course, and you have also a Maokai to follow up on that, so you can basically chain CC someone so that they can't flash away, plus a lot.
Nothing happened. So bot lane is actually doing well from OP newbies. They got a good few trades. Blitzcrank rendered to half health. And from the looks of it, it looks like G Karma is not playing mid for them, which is a surprise because he's known to be an amazing mid player, and that he's playing jungle tells me that I think they might not have a good jungler and he's forced to go jungle. So in that case, the mid laner Matchscript Pants is a good jungler, but like it might have an advantage more to Deva because he's playing against someone that he can actually do well against. So far, not much has been happening in the mid lane. People just farming out so far, and Maokai and GP are just farming and GP is pretty happy having the lane very close to his tower. He doesn't need to worry, he can simply keep farming up. He does have the Kleptomancy rune as we knew he would. And the gang coming out mid lane, do we gonna see a kill? The ignite being used and a flash away. So again, like we said, Bazigar is one of those people who will always gank a lot, and a good gang coming on the mid lane loses the Ryze flash. That basically means he can come again and get the confirmed kill onto the Ryze. So a good start by OPNB so far, blowing the mid lane for mid lane splash so far, and Kha'Zix in return really couldn't get anything done. Maybe he countered jungle. No, actually he didn't even counter jungle that much. So I don't think like Kha'Zix actually had any response to that kind of an invade. So he probably just got vision around the blue side of the jungle, but nothing else apart from that. So good gank so far by Bazigar, and as the game progresses, you're gonna see Bazigar gank a lot more. He's like his style itself is that he loves to gank, he loves to invade, he loves to basically be impactful on the map and not be like the Meteors kind of a jungler who just keeps farming up.
So one thing I would praise about with the red team is that look at their top lane vision. They have quite a bit of vision around there. Mid lane trading right now, but they had quite a lot of vision there. They're tracking the Sejuani. They wanted to know where the Sejuani was, so now they're trying to get that jungle information so that they can just play their lanes according to that, so that they don't get ganked because they probably know this information.
Meanwhile, in the jungle, we do see trades coming out from Sejuani and Kha'Zix. Kha'Zix one level ahead of her. Sejuani has literally no mana at this point. Still does a fair amount of damage. Here comes GP. Flashes in for the kill. Kha'Zix forced to E and flash as well. First blood goes to Kha'Zix. Sejuani gets killed, but the Q from GP does pick up Kha'Zix. Meanwhile, Katarina coming in. Maokai has no mana. The slow is laid down. He's taking a lot of damage. Has been forced to flash away in order to survive. Might even go for a tower dive here. That might be risky, but they're still gonna go for a tower dive. Taking in. Deba takes another kill on Fake Faces.
That was actually really well played by OPN. Having said that, Bazigar was just one away from killing that gangplank, and he basically waited for his team to get it. Having said that, both GP and Katarina get a kill right now, and that was very well coordinated by the gank on the tower as well for them to get it. So a good start for OPN, and both GP and Katarina have a kill, and that basically will help them a lot in getting to their items. The Sheen is completed, the Hextech Revolver is completed, so they are already looking strong at the moment, and a good promising start coming out for OPN so far.
One thing I wanted to talk about was that Sejuani, despite being one level behind Kha'Zix, did output a serious amount of damage onto the Kha'Zix, even though he was level 4 and still outputting serious spells and whatnot. And he was even low on mana, so he couldn't really do his usual spell combo. So the passive proc, it does a lot of damage. It's really high base damage.
Exactly why Sejuani is one of the jungle picks that you can't just worry about. Like, he'll actually do really well. We see another
Meanwhile, skirmish coming in. GP uses ult, tries to slow them down, but to no avail. Both teams walking out with limping wounds, but no kills from either side.
Yeah, they're going. Red team is going for a lot of skirmishes now. They're trying to catch someone off, and now we can see there's a fight in the mid lane. There's a bit of a scuffle as well, so. There's pretty much quite a bit of action going in the.
Meanwhile, Kha'Zix being caught out. Oh no, this might be curtains for him. If he can E out, he does E out in time, and just manages to survive that 3-man onslaught. Almost got killed right there. Kha'Zix really needs to take care of his positioning in these fights. He keeps getting caught in between 2 or 3 members of the opponent team.
Yeah, OPN is now looking to invade jungle, seeing that Kha'Zix is so low. The blue is up right now, so their next objective is to steal out the blue, as they've been doing. And Kha'Zix is just wondering what he needs to do. That was pretty risky of him to go to the mid lane without having vision of where the bot lane of the enemy could be. So again, like the full blue side vision has been gotten for OPN, and that's actually a pretty good start from them now. The Sejuani is leveling up quite fast, and the bot lane Kha'Zix has been set back. Even though he got a kill, he got confident.
Yeah. Yeah, you do basically want a Kha'Zix to be frozen in terms of gaining lane, in terms of getting XP in the jungle and gold as well, since you don't want him to get the items and start snowballing. Now, that's a pretty effective way of getting him down in terms of levels and slowing his progress throughout the game so he doesn't pose a threat in the mid-game skirmishes. Really clever play from OP newbies at this point, and Korean server are really struggling to find an answer to these skirmishes that are happening in the river and jungle sides. So at this point on in the game, they have a 1.6k gold lead, OP newbies, and the snowball is in their favor. However, a certain team fight can actually change the tide of the game still at this point, because they're not really flying out of the lead. They're just barely edging by in the lead at this point.
Yeah, true. It's to be expected of what we expected with the game. We expected that OP newbies will have a significant advantage in the early game, and they're showing that we can take the skirmishes, we can get those kills, we can get that lead we want in the early game, and they're gonna play based off on that. What Korean server needs to do is to just not commit on those fights, because simply put, you're not strong enough. You can just play the long con, play the long game, and you'll be quite successful. And meanwhile,
in bot lane, a root comes out. Tristana being dealt heavy damage, half HP already. Another Q comes out, 25% HP for Tristana, and they do walk out with no kills. But what in terms of the rotation that OP newbies are doing, I love how they rotate and just help each other out in terms of situations where their team members are engaged with one member of Korean server. Their rotations seem to make more sense than what Korean servers are doing, OP newbies, and they just have more of a similar mindset as to what they do. They're moving as a coherent team. Meanwhile, Korean server is struggling to find answer to how to rotate and how to counteract those rotations they're doing, like in the top lane, the tower dive, and in the bot lane, the blue steal after the Kha'Zix was killed. So pretty interesting match is so far going on, and a 2k goal lead coming up for OP newbies at this point.
Completely agreed with OP newbies have actually shown that they're playing as a team. They're invading the blue lane, blue side jungle together. They're fighting very well. They're diving together.
Meanwhile, Kha'Zix goes in.
They might take out GP right now. GP blows the flash.
He survives that?
They're trying to get at him, but they couldn't. Wait, what? They have? Kha'Zix seemed like he was slowed, and now meanwhile
in mid lane, Ulti comes out. Rise is in incredibly big trouble right now. Deba picks up the kill on Rise. But what was that GP gank though? Meanwhile, Kha'Zix flashes in, Qs, heals up by GP, almost gets obliterated in the process, but the kill nets him up a few points of HP.
That Kha'Zix got greedy there. He knew that Kha'Zix would jump. He was hoping that his damage could actually kill him, but he couldn't. Having said that, though, OP newbie's got a very good kill onto the Rise. He couldn't even use his barrier or his flash. Insta CC stunned by the Sejuani, and the Katrina burst was enough to kill him. So again, the Katrina is gonna start snowballing now. She has 2 kills. She has 4 stacks already on her Dark Seal, so it's gonna be pretty scary for the team fighting, because she can actually push people on pretty hard if she gets hold on any of these people. So it's going well so far for OP newbies. They have good kills and they do have a lot of dominance over each of the lanes, and they've been doing really well. The GP has finished his Triforce in 10 minutes due to Kleptomancy as well, so he's gonna look to start bowling them right now. And
meanwhile, Pole comes out, but Arcane shifts away just in the nick of time. And the pokes also coming out from Ezreal, it adds up. First of all, when you get hit by a Q in the early game, you feel like, it's not much damage, I'm gonna sustain it back anyway. But then it adds up, he keeps on landing those Qs, and suddenly you're 25% HP in bot lane.
Exactly, and with Sheen procs and autos, it's really going to start hurting. And Ezreal can poke out a lot, and one of the reasons why it's so well against a Blitzcrank pick as well. I'm not sure what the idea was to ban 4 supports and pick Blitzcrank when you know there's an Ezreal in the meta who can actually play.
Meanwhile, Kha'Zix might be caught out again, forced to use his ultimate to run away, pops the plant to get away from that. Meanwhile, Ulti's coming out. He
That was really well done.
It was very well tricked by the Kha'Zix, but for some reason, I'm not sure why he's coming into the enemy jungle, keeps getting caught out like that. It's not really helping his team when they do that, because now OP newbies get a free dragon because the Kha'Zix is far away and he can't do anything about it. So a free dragon coming out, and since bot lane has been pushing so well, they can help with the dragon call as well. So this is working really well for OP newbies. They got their comfort picks and they got strong laners who can end up perma pushing the bot lane as well. As we see a hook onto Tristana right there. Oh, there's a lot of poke coming on, but just survived, and Blastoise is not done yet.
Meanwhile, flash coming out from Sejuani. The ult does hit. Tristana might die here, but forced to flash away and survives with just a sliver amount of HP. Meanwhile, Blitzcrank is being put the pressure on by Sejuani, but she does not have enough mana to basically sustain that fight.
Newbies getting a little too excited right there. They did a very good trade onto the Tristana. They could have simply taken the tower, but they chose to dive the Tristana. Bazigar uses his flash and ulti. Doesn't work out. Meanwhile, we see another
roaming in mid lane.
Yeah,
that's a lot of damage coming in. Katarina does get killed, but the GP ult comes in. Rise forced to flash away from the GP ultimate to keep himself alive. But in that last fight where, Kha'Zix got caught while trying to break an Explorer ward, he should have realized that his bot lane actually recalled, and they wouldn't be in a position to actually help him if the enemy team decided to rotate mid and try to, counteract the fact that Kha'Zix was trying to clear the wards and gain vision. So right now, I think a lot of miscommunication is coming into play for Korean server at this point, because they don't look cohesive as a team at this point. Their rotations are their gank patterns are good. Like Kha'Zix had a few good ganks in the game, but in terms of the whole macro game, so to speak, in terms of that, Korean server haven't really shown the caliber that OP newbies have shown throughout this entire game. Like, except for that, maybe that one dive, Team OP newbies have shown deadly precision and just cold justice in terms of
they are
everything
rewarded
that they're
for
doing.
their shenanigans, because like right now Gangplank is just farming up, gets the first shot. This is the point where Maokai really can't hold on to the Gangplank or try to like fight him 1v1 anymore. So it's just gonna get more and more difficult for Korean server, because Gangplank is gonna keep getting stronger at this point, and he's already at the point where he doesn't need to be afraid of the Maokai in the laning perspective. He's already out damaging him, and we see a flash Q coming on to Tristana.
That's gonna hit.
I think they're trying
Might be a Tristana right now, but that was a good.
Yes, we're about lands. They should be able to get the blitzcrank.
That's actually a pretty good teleport. So OP newbies like playing ham right now. All 4 members coming on bot lane, getting the kill onto the blitzcrank. The Tristana also escaped through a good use of her ultimate, but that won't be enough, because now OP newbies are gonna get the bottom lane tower and they're gonna extend the lead by even more. So very well played by OP newbies. They have been playing cohesive as a unit.
Meanwhile, all comes out from Sejuani. Karina's coming in. Rise does not have the flash. He might die a slow death here. Still going on. Meanwhile,
Alex is waiting.
Goes in.
That's a lot of damage onto the Katarina. Alex jumps in.
But Kha'Zix does get killed. by
And the Katarina
ultimate.
lives with a sliver of
That
health.
was such a close skirmish right there.
Meanwhile, in top lane, GP going ham on Maokai, but there is Rise to back him up, even though he's very low on HP. A barrel shot could possibly do him in this point right now. But he chooses to back off because he doesn't want to mess with that GP right now. He's looking very scary at this point. But here comes Blitzcrank.
Misses the hook though.
Pretty much kills the excitement with that hook. But still.
But the thing is with Blitzcrank, I don't know. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but Blitzcrank hasn't been very effective so far.
Oh, I think the GP is in trouble.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, GP gets rooted under the tower.
This might be a kill. That
was just a bad barrel placement for me. Gets under tower and a good snare coming out by Matchker Punch to actually get in right there. So GP playing a little too confident right now, trying to think he can probably take over everyone. But as you can see, the reason behind that was he lagged. So alright, maybe that's the reason why he was like
maybe
going so far.
It is the reason, but judging by what OP newbies have been doing, they might underestimate Team Korean server at some point in the game, since they have a huge lead. But the fact that you really can't let your guard down when there's a Ryze and a Tristana on the opponent team, because they might farm up in the late game, and one bad team fight is all you need to set them snowballing hard against your favor. So OP newbies have to be basically careful in order to not let that slip. Because in a few games in the tournament, we've seen a lot of teams packing up dominant leads as the game went on. But in commit game, they made a few bad choices in terms of going too ham on the opponent team. One by one, everyone goes in and trickles and everyone just dies. Meanwhile, the opponent team gets a few objectives, and that kind of sets the comeback for the
Held
opponent.
under the Tristana, but nothing was
Yeah, I'm not really sure why the Nautilus is always ulting the Tristana when you know she can simply jump away from that. But I think it's just that at this point they don't want Tristana to even be in the jungle, and they're trying to like take away the jungle of.
So they're jumping on the
JP walking up way too far.
The orange comes out. That was a flash from
Oh, that is like surviving on 1 HP right there.
but he couldn't finish him off, and they had to all back up. So much commitment going on to just taking the kills. Like, there's so much commitment going on.
You can definitely see that there is some sort of overconfidence right there, going ahead without any vision.
Meanwhile, Blitzcrank pulls in Nautilus. Maybe not the most optimal target to pull in, but then again,
not the target to pull right now. Like, I think at this point in time, like OPN, we just need to relax a little, try to play around objectives, not be so gank heavy or dive heavy right now. They have a good lead. They need to snowball it the right way. I think they're just trying to like push out the mid lane, not looking or not caring what the enemy could be, and that's kind of helped. Like, that's not going well for them for the last 2 skirmishes, because the GP died and now he lost his flash as well. So it's not like they need to play a little smarter. GP is strong on the side lanes. Don't let him come mid. Let him push the side waves. He will win the 1v1 against Maokai, and he has his ultimate to help them in case Maokai does gank. So I think that would be the good call for the OP newbies. Just put the Gangplank on a side lane and start making split pushing happen with that guy. And The four of them can stay in mid.
In terms of damage output from Korean server, I'm not sure what they're doing because they let a lot of kills go in some skirmishes when members of OP newbies escaped with really low HP. So, but the hook lands on the rise. He might be in trouble here, carrying.
The flash
goes in with the ult as well. Rush goes in.
Blitzcrank falls as well, so they are trying to take them down, but I think it's at the point of the time that the red team should have back up, but they don't back up.
Good flash Q from the Sejuani, and they get the
Rice falls down, and GP takes another turret.
Meanwhile, Kha'Zix
still going on.
Gets insta-killed by the Ezreal. Might have gone too overconfident right there. Underestimated Nautilus's tankiness with the shield, and he does pay the price for it.
Exactly right there.
He has the Tristana. He wants that Tristana kill right now, but Tristana needs to back up right now. The
Tristana pushes him away with the ultimate, but at this point, both players just walk away from each other, calling truce. Meanwhile, Team OP newbies do get the first outer mid turret, and that just adds to their tally of the gold lead that they have. It's almost 8k at this point.
Yeah,
four turrets in 19 minutes is
pretty good. Gangplank finally doing the right thing, splitting to the top lane. All throughout this fight, he wasn't there, and he helps get a top. And Rise making the mistake. When you're low on health, don't come back in the team fight. Just back off. And he was being a little. He did not realize that the Sejuani could simply flash and kill him through that. So they need to understand they are a little behind right now. They need to play a little safer in team fights and wait for the right team fights to take, because at this point they just want to get snowballed on pretty hard, and they have a front OPN have a very good front line in Sejuani and Nautilus actually, so they really can't dive onto the team anymore. Korean server can't dive onto that team. They just need to farm up, because late game they still have a lot of damage. The Rise and the Tristana should be able to dish out a lot of damage, so they just need to farm up and get to the items at the moment, because Tristana hasn't even completed an Infinity Edge when you're seeing a Triforce and a Manamune already finished onto the Ezreal. So at this point it doesn't make any sense to take a 5v5. Just try and farm up, just try and lessen this snowball deficit that they're getting, and try to farm wherever possible and not take any fights. That's what they need to do right now to have a chance of winning this game.
Kha'Zix at 20 minutes has a serrated dagger and the skirmish saber as well. In terms of itemization, he's gone for Moby Boots too. Might not have been a good decision at this point to keep the Moby Boots against so much CC, but at this point of the game, he might still focus on getting those picks. Meanwhile, the whole team of OP newbies coming into the Kha'Zix, just laying down the smack. Ulti coming out from Sejuani. They really want this kill. Auto attacks going out. Sejuani picks up the kill on Kha'Zix. Kha'Zix not managing to escape from there.
And then they're not taking a Baron. It's a free Baron for them right now because the jungler is dead.
They're not done yet. They want to get the Rise.
Go for it because there's a Rise
coming out.
Extending, and this might be a dead Rise right now.
Oh,
and the Rise is back, and now a great hook lands onto.
And a flash hook on
another kill. And now this time they might just go for a Baron right now.
Yeah, now it's an easy Baron for them. Yeah, so they have lost 2 more people, and the Kha'Zix has just gotten back to base. So that's an easy Baron for them, and this game is getting completely out of hand for Korean server. It doesn't look like they'll be able to come back from this one, and like I said, really well played by all the members of OPN. Every one of them had a very good role to play. They're doing their job, and they had to pick the comfortable on. The GP won his top lane, the Katarina got the snowball that she required to have, and as a result of this, you're seeing what's happening in front of you guys.
Yeah, pretty much obliteration at this point. But look at how tanky the Nautilus is. Tanking 5 or 6 auto attacks and not even down to 50% HP. He's only at 25% HP. That's how powerful Team OP newbies are at this point. And they look to be flying out of control. And Korean server basically struggling to find an answer to anything that OP newbies are doing at this point.
This is what we said, during the Champ Select and during the Spectre delay as well. That OP newbies, if they get a lead and they're able to snowball, they'll just take the game home. This is what's happening right now. They have successfully snowballed. They have taken 4 turrets to 0 on Korean server side. And now you look at this. You look at the gold lead, which is about 11,000 right now. So that is a lot of gold on the OP newbies side, and they have look at Ezreal. Ezreal has 2 completed items, whereas Tristana has only 1. That's a big difference, and it's all across the board. So you know,
Ezreal is going to be in trouble right now.
You know, OPN is to lose, but Kha'Zix just jumps in. Kha'Zix was that kill down.
Might not have enough damage to do it, but the stopwatch comes out.
Kill, but he has to give up his own life as well.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Maokai is in trouble as well, and he dies. So the Kha'Zix was trying to basically play the Baron by making sort of a call, but like Maokai, I don't know what he was doing, dies in the process. Blitzcrank dies as well. So that really doesn't really work in the favor of Korean team, as they can start pushing the bot lane out and get the bot lane in a turret while this GP is pushing the mid lane. So I was just waiting to see what Korean server would do in this case, and I think it backfired. The plan to gank the red buff and get the kill not really working in their favor, because they're able to get both the kills, and now they're going to lose both their mid inner as well as the top inner tower, bot inner towers right now. So just getting more and more difficult for them right now.
So yeah, it's gonna get really difficult for them. Like look at now the scene. GP can just stay in one lane and just use his barrels to just clear out the minions, while the rest of the team just goes to another lane, then just shoves it down, because they have a 4-man Baron still, even though Ezreal died, but a 4-man Baron is still pretty.
This is very interesting, because I want to see what they have. But
they want to jump on the Kha'Zix right now.
Again,
but
the
Kha'Zix trying to run away, but that's the wrong way. Nice juke, but I don't think he's going to survive in the long run. So
he's actually helping his team waste the time on the Baron, so that's actually not a bad thing that he's doing.
But that flash wasn't very successful.
Meanwhile, it does show that OP newbies are really hungry for kills here. Meanwhile, Korean server tries to retaliate in. A lot of damage coming out.
Koreans.
Right now because
Maokai just going for the Ezreal
right now, and I think OP newbies didn't take the opportunity that they were given. They instead followed that team and just went on.
That was a very big mistake. Why would you follow? The Kha'Zix is trying to buy you some time while they're chasing, and the team just follows blindly trying to help him, and they just get obliterated right there, and this makes it a lot easier.
They'll just take a top inhibitor as well.
They'll take the inhibitor as well. There are 3 of them are dead, 4 of them are dead, so that's an easy inhibitor coming out for them right now, and it basically makes the game a lot easier for them to win. I was waiting to see how they would try to do the lane assignments, but they got the game handed to them on a silver platter basically. As Kha'Zix also just gets like dove on and dies simply. There's just too much CC coming out from OP newbies right now. The Nautilus as well as Sejuani and the burst from Gangplank and Ezreal. Kha'Zix really can't do nothing with that squishy build that he has right there. So the top lane inhibitor goes down for them, and now they'll be looking to rotate towards the mid lane, or maybe just take a back and come with items and try and finish out the game by going bot and mid right now. So
they can also probably go down to the Mountain Drake and just take it. They can just take the free Mountain Drake, which they're pinging right now, so they're probably gonna take the Mountain Drake and then just back off and then get the items that they need, while Sejuani steals the blue. So
so right now, if you are just starting to watch us, take a look at the item differences between the two teams and the gold lead. Right now, we have GP with 4 completed items. Maokai has struggled to complete a Sunfire and is still struggling to complete a Spirit Visage at this point. Like, the difference between 2 top laners in terms of itemization is just immense at this point. 235 to 140 CS and 6 kills on GP. Meanwhile, Sejuani with an amazing kill assist and kill participation ratio, like 15 kills out of 19. Sejuani has been incredibly fundamentally useful in OP newbies' success in this whole game. And the fact that their calls have been so centered around jungle presence in the entire map so far, starting from early to where we are right now at the point of the game, is kind of paramount to the fact that their communication and whatnot is vastly superior at this point compared to Korean server.
True, I mean, Bazika did his job right there. The early game, all he had to do was the Katarina gets ahead, make sure the GP gets ahead, and he did that by ganking Ryze in the mid lane, getting that kill onto the Katarina, and really helps out. Where Kha'Zix in that sense wasn't really that impactful in the early game, and you would assume that the Kha'Zix would try to counter jungle or try to invade, but none of that happened. Instead, we saw Sejuani gank the mid lane and then go gank the top lane and get a kill onto the GP as well. So a really good job there done by Bazika, helping his team to get to the items and help their solo winners out a lot. Meanwhile, we see a skirmish happening top lane, but the Nautilus is so tanky, they're not even bothered to do any damage. The hook lands onto him, but it's like he walks out as if nothing ever happened.
The Katarina looks to be caught, but this fight just turned so badly against Korean servers. They wanted to take
That's easy, boys. That's what happens when you have
now they're just low now.
Yeah, that's what happens when you have 15,000 gold lead with a Gangplank, Katarina, and Ezreal with the front line like Nautilus and Sejuani right there. So
yeah, even if you do get a lead in the fight, you can't really sustain that much, given the fact that the goal difference is just huge at this point.
So really good, well played game by OP newbies. They actually got their comfort picks, which allowed them to snowball so heavily, and a well-deserved victory. Korean server needs to look back at this game and figure out, guys, what do we start banning against them, because they can't give them their comfortable picks, otherwise it's gonna snowball off of the game like they did round. So a very good display of macro there by OP newbies, playing well around their individual talents as well. And I think they need to figure out now, Korean server has to figure out what do they exactly ban, and then pick a little smartly against laners like that, and maybe try to ban out the GP or the Katarina if they can, because like you can't give these people the comfort picks, and if you give them, then that's the result is right in front of you. That's what's going to happen.
All right, so we're going to take a 2-minute break at this point, but we will be back with more League of Legends action right here. Stay tuned for game number 2 between OP Newbies and Korean server.